ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं शरवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि वनन्ति भूरिदा जनाः. Your words are like nectar, bring life to scorched souls. They are praised by poets and remove all sin. They are auspicious to hear, wonderful and exalted. Those who spread these words throughout the world are truly giving souls. Welcome to our class on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, where we just started the beginning of a new chapter at the end of last Friday's session. This is chapter 41 at Ram's house. This is Ramchandra Datta. The date was Saturday, May 23rd, 1885, and we're just at the top of page 779. But just to review, Sri Ramakrishna, he's in the drawing room on the ground floor of Ram's house. This will be his city house. Later, he'll have his garden house in Kankaragachi, but this will just be in someplace in northern Calcutta. And Mahima Charan is there, M, Paltu, Bhavanat, Nitya Gopal, Haru Mohan, and some others are there. And then younger Naren comes, and Nitya Gopal is there, and maybe some others also. Poltu, yeah, I said Poltu. So Sri Ramakrishna is talking about what he calls the Nitya and the lila. So the Nitya is these are not simply metaphysical distinctions. This has to do with the state of mind. That when the mind rises to the state where it's merged in the absolute, this is the Nitya. When it comes back down, then this is the lila. Otherwise, very often it's called the Nitya, the absolute, and lila, the relative. Lila will correspond to Maya for some, and Nitya to Brahman, if we want to look at it from that point of view. But for Sri Ramakrishna, he emphasizes that these are both real. Now, one is constantly changing and one is deceiving us. It's part of Maya. That's true. But it is not something to be dismissed, that this is the nature of the world, that there's going to be the reality and the appearance. And you can't just throw one out. You don't get the full weight of the bell fruit. He makes many statements like that. So we're starting at the top of page 779. Master. Some people climb the 7 floors of a building and cannot get down, but some climb up and then, at will, visit the lower floors. Now, Sri Ramakrishna, we know that he speaks at different times in different contexts. Sometimes it's not at all clear. Sometimes we get the feeling that this is something that anybody can do. We can climb to the roof and then come back down. There'll be other times when he'll talk about those who reach the roof. Only the Ishwarakotis can come back down. There is a way of understanding all of this and experiencing all of this that will apply to everyone. This is my feeling, because he talks about it too much. And he's telling everybody all of these things, that if it's simply meant for a very small handful of people in the history of the world, this going up and coming down, this anulom and bilom, what he talked about, there won't be any point to all of this. So I think what he's saying is that we, even in our understanding, we can see that when we ascend to a very high point of view, where we experience this reality as unchanging, transcendent, pure consciousness, that it's a question of the mind rising to a certain level. And when the mind comes back down again, we see the world in different ways according to where the mind is. So sometimes he'll add, but getting to the roof, if we're talking about this nirvikalpa samadhi, then it's not given to everyone to enter into that state and then come back down again, or they can just go for a short time. We've seen all the different ways of understanding this. They're very complicated issue, and Thakur is not always perfectly consistent. Because he's explaining this to different people at different times, and sometimes he's explaining it in terms of the distinction between the Ishvara kotis and Jiva kotis. At other times, he's just explaining that this absolute and the relative are both two sides of the same coin of reality. So, from that point of view, we can say the snake and the rope. That the snake is nothing other than the rope. Don't dismiss that, because this is our human experience. This is the way that we're seeing or misperceiving reality. This is part of the human experience. Only he'll say that there'll be a certain type of experience that'll come where the snake will not be anything to fear. And this world will be a joyful place and not something to run away from. So here, making a very general statement, some people climb the 7 floors of a building and cannot get down, but some climb up and then it will visit the lower floors. So the people who cannot get down, these will be those who, this is their, our Swami Brahmarupananji used to talk about exit strategy. This is their exit strategy for them. Their karma is burned up. They're very fortunate. They'll leave this world through that gate of samadhi. They'll enter into that samadhi, and then the body will fall off that way. This is how they'll leave the world. Others, jiva kotis, if they can attain to that state, even a drop, and still have some karma left, that'll pull the mind back down again. They'll have some understanding of all of this. But only, even the Ishvara kotis, it's very hard for them back and forth. Only the Sri Ramakrishna himself, we see, daily can go back and forth from this highest realm to the lower realm. Uddhava said to the gopis, "He whom you address as your Krishna dwells in all beings. It is he alone who has become the universe and its living beings. Therefore I say, does a man meditate on God only when his eyes are closed? Doesn't he see anything of God when his eyes are open? Eyes are closed, this will indicate Nitya. We're not seeing this external world as if it doesn't exist, that we're only experiencing that ultimate reality as the self within. But eyes open, what do we see? There's all the manifestation of that same divinity, that divinity dwelling within all beings, manifest as everything that we see alone. So, and this is already May of 1885. So Thakur already has had that experience with his broken arm, and has had that feeling that Mother is telling him, direct your sight more to the lila now. There's not a lila, seeing God dwelling in all beings. You've had enough of with eyes closed, having visions of gods and goddesses, and then merging the mind nirvikalpa samadhi. Fine, all of that is wonderful, but this Vidyani stage, now see God dwelling everywhere and in everyone. Therefore I say, does a man meditate on God only when his eyes are closed? Doesn't he see anything of God when the eyes are open? So he used to say that. Yeah, learn to see God with our eyes wide open, just as you do when the eyes are shut. How do we do it? This is, of course, the question that we ourselves have to make an effort, remind ourselves, and see that and infuse divinity in everything. Yeah, we were discussing Sunday about the Ishopanishad, that cover everything with this idea, this feeling of the divine. Mahima, I have a question to ask, sir. A lover of God needs nirvana sometime or other, doesn't he? There's a footnote, nirvana, or total annihilation of the ego is the idea of the jnanis, the non-dualists. Nirvana is a term we associate more with Buddhism, of course. This is the term that they will use for that enlightenment experience. So in the Buddhist tradition, this nirvana was the experience that the Buddha had that enabled him to attain that state of realization or illumination, enlightenment, and then begin his ministry, his teaching, and everything. And that's the goal. The nirvana means different things in different Buddhist traditions also. For some, nirvana, it really means just like blow out the flame of the candle. There's nothing after that. That complete annihilation, just no more rebirth. And then the northern schools, there'll be other ideas that almost like merging in Brahman, experiencing that oneness. Different ways of understanding all of these things. So there's Mahima. When he says a lover of God needs nirvana sometimes, more or less he's saying that doesn't a bhakta also have something to do with this path of knowledge. So he wants to say that even those who are following the path of devotion, that somehow they need to enter into that state of perfect oneness with the Brahman. Yes. Yeah. Good. Master, it can't be said that bhaktas need nirvana. Now, this question was an unusual question. Do they need it? The bhakta will say, no. Why do we need it? In fact, very often they'll say, we don't want it. We don't want to merge ourselves in that nirguna Brahman. We want to experience Brahman with all of the beautiful qualities and form and name and everything. This will be their goal. So it may end up that they have that ultimate experience of oneness. Thakur says that. And he also says that they may prefer to have this experience of God in a personal form. So the question was unusual. Thakur answers it very nicely, that we can't say that a bhakta needs nirvana. Now, the jnani may say that they need it. Otherwise, they'll be born again unless they have that nirvana experience. They'll say, first of all, we don't even care about this mukti of yours. We want to have love of God. So two very different attitudes that they'll have. According to some schools, there is an eternal Krishna, and there are also his eternal devotees. Krishna is spirit embodied, and his abode also is spirit embodied. Yeah, Thakur used to say this, Chinmoy Sham, Chinmoy Dham, also sometimes Chinmoy Nam. Yeah, it's not here now, but yeah, he used to say that. Now, one thing we have to note with Sri Ramakrishna, it's dangerous to ever say that he's expressing his own final conclusion about things. Almost always it'll be according to the jnani, according to Vedanta, according to the Puranas, according to the bhaktas. He'll explain it from that point of view, because he presents us with a variety of different ways of understanding things. And sometimes just when we think that we've really understood everything that he stands for and wants to tell us, he'll present a different point of view. So this was the way he explained things. So here he said, according to some schools, so there'll be some devotional schools, some Vaishnava schools in particular, dualistic schools. There's an eternal Krishna and also his eternal devotees. So this means that they will not accept the Vedantic position, the Dvaitic position, that there's no ultimate reality to the jiva as an individual soul. The individual, what we talk about, the individual soul is the subtle body, and the individuality of the jiva is false identification with that subtle body. That when all of the containers are done, there are no reflections left, there's only the sun. They'll explain it that way. The devotee will say, even in the state of ultimate realization, the jiva retains its individuality, and will have that experience, that relationship with God, and dwell in a loka. They'll explain everything more or less like Western idea of heaven. That this will be that final ultimate experience. They'll enter that realm where there's no return. So Thakur's not saying yay or nay to any of this. He's saying according to some that they'll have that belief. And what do I think his position will be? Good. If they have faith in that, let them follow that. What is the ultimate reality. They'll have some experience. They'll interpret it in their own way. If they have faith in that, good. So, Krishna is eternal, and the devotees are also eternal. Krishna and the devotees are like the moon and the stars, always near each other. You yourself repeat, what need is there of penance if God is seen within and without? Further, I have told you that the devotee who is born with an element of Vishnu cannot altogether get rid of bhakti. So Thakur had this theory that two different classifications, those who are born with an element of Vishnu, those who are born with an element of Shiva. That we can take this symbolically, of course. What he's saying is that some are born with the propensity towards the path of knowledge and this infinite absolute Nirguna Brahman, and some are drawn to devotional, emotional type of relationship with God, with the personal God. And this is part of our swabhava. This is not easily changed. This is what Thakur said. Swamiji also says that follow the path of least resistance. If we're born with that very strong tendency towards one or the other, then better to try to follow it, not to force ourselves into a different position because somebody says it's good for us, or we think it's a higher position. Many people nowadays think this path of bhakti is a dualistic path, devotional path, that it's a second-class path. Yeah. So they'll try to squeeze them, but we can't put a round peg in a square hole. This is what Thakur was saying. So there'll be some who this is natural for them. We may say that, well, it's not the highest type of knowledge. So what? This can take them also. As Thakur says, path of devotion can take one to Brahmajnana even. Have the same realization of the absolute that the path of knowledge can. Once I fell into the clutches of a jnani, this is Totopuri, who made me listen to Vedanta for 11 months. Yeah, they were together for 11 months. A part of that time, Thakur was in the Samadhi, of course, but still, he stayed 11 months. And they developed a very sweet relationship. And this Totopuri, he had taken a vow not to stay in any one place more than 3 nights. So the power of attraction of Sri Ramakrishna was too much, that he stayed for such a long time with him. But he couldn't altogether destroy the seed of bhakti in me. So what Sri Ramakrishna is saying is that he has that element of Vishnu in him, but we can't compare him to anybody else. He had the element of Shiva also. He can't be pigeonholed. That they were all equally manifest. Maybe bhakti, we would say, is more manifest, but still, he talks about how when he was doing his Vedanta sadhana, how difficult it was to bring the mind back down. Just naturally, it would go up and merge in that infinite absolute Brahman. No matter where my mind wandered, it would come back to the Divine Mother. Whenever I sang of her, Nangta would weep. Nangta is the name he called him. He never referred to him as Totopuri, the naked one. Sorry. Nangta would weep and say, what is this? You see, he was such a great jnani, and still he wept. That meant he had a heart also. Yeah. To the younger Naren and the others, remember the popular saying that if man drinks the juice of the alek creeper, A plant grows inside his stomach. Once the seed of bhakti is sown, the effect is inevitable. It will gradually grow into a tree with flowers and fruits. Yeah, so what we're trying to do, we're trying to develop that seed and nourish it, this seed of devotion. And we can say also the seed of jnana is also like that. You may reason and argue 1,000 times, but if you have the seed of bhakti within you, you will surely come back to Hari. That means to whatever concept of God, personal God, that we have. The devotees listened silently to the master. Sri Ramakrishna asked Mahima, laughing, "What is the thing you enjoy most?" Mahima smiling, "Nothing, sir. I like mangoes." He's not being flippant exactly, but he's being light. They could do it. They had a kind of relationship. Master smiling, "All by yourself, or do you want to share them with others?" This was another one of the examples Thakur would give. He said there are some who eat mangoes in secret, and there are others that they get them, they'll share them. There's some they'll give all of them away also. So this is the difference between those who want to have care only for their own liberation and those who care for the welfare of others also. So Thakur smiling. "And do you want to share them with others?" Mahima smiling. "I am not so anxious to give others a share. I may as well eat them all by myself." Master, "But do you know my attitude? I accept both the Nitya and the lila. So that means I'm both a jnani and a bhakta." Don't think that all this talk about the lila means that I'm disregarding or not giving proper respect to this near-guna Brahman and the experience and all of that. He accepts both. There's one conversation with M where he asked M to kind of repeat what he said about this Nitya and lila. M says something like, "Yes, sir, that this lila comes from the Nitya," and Thakur sort of corrects him. He says, "No, they're both real. They're both real." So this will be a little bit of a distinction from the traditional point of view, that the lila will be unreal, or and Thakur, he says it's real but transitory. Now, what is the distinction? The distinction is that we're not dismissing it as simply a hallucination. We're living in a common world where we all are experiencing this world in our own way, but as Maya is covering things, and we're not seeing things as we should, and we have to realize, even if we take this world to be 100% real, made up of physical matter and everything, it's fleeting, it's transitory, it's going to disappear one day. We're going to leave it behind one day. All of our relations, everything will end at some time. This is the Maya of this world from a realistic point of view. We don't have to dismiss this world as a dream. Thakur says it over and over again, in order to see that this world is Maya, that this world is anitya. This is Thakur's favorite term. Sometimes he says avastu. There's no substance to it, nothing to hold on to, nothing to satisfy our longing in this world. But he very often says, "I don't like to say this world is swapnavat, unreal like a dream." And mithya, this term mithya, Thakur uses it occasionally, but to mean false, not to mean really unreal, but also some misconception and something which gives some type of false vanity and pride also. That's all part of this mithya. This term mithya, if you look at how it's used, in Gita, it comes, I think, twice. Mithyacha. So this hypocrisy. Or if he says to Arjuna, Krishna, if you say you're not going to fight, this resolve of yours is mithya. Yeah, there's something false about it. So this Jagat Mithya is very, we can say controversial, but open to many different types of interpretation. There are schools that will dismiss this world like a dream. This Yoga Vasishtha and others, they'll have different theories. There's idealistic theories and everything, but the Upanishads are not really idealistic in that way. And if we take this dream thing too literally, then everything is subjective and private. There's no common universe. We question the existence of everybody else also. So even this Mandukya Upanishad, which is considered to be one of the height of Advaitic Vedanta, will make a big distinction between the dream state and the waking state. Waking state, we live in a common universe. Dream state, everything is private, internal. There's no external world, no physical body. Can't. So Thakur says, but do you know my attitude? I accept both the Nitya and the lila. Yeah, when Thakur gives the illustration of the mother cooking food in all different ways, she'll get a fish, and for the different children have different tastes and different powers of digestion. Then at the end, he says, I like all varieties of fish. That means he likes to experience God in all ways, personal, impersonal, path of devotion, path of knowledge, all different things. Doesn't God exist if one looks around with eyes open? After realizing him. So this was his theory of Vijnana, that after realization, when we see this world again, that we see it differently. After realizing him, one knows that he is both the absolute and the universe. So manifesting as this physical universe, so-called, it is he who is the indivisible Satchidananda. Again, it is he who has become the universe and its living beings. So this attitude or spiritual practice of denying things, neti, making a distinction between that which is real and unreal, that which is permanent, that which is changing, that Thakur says is a very valid way of experiencing that Nitya. But it's not the ultimate conclusion. Ultimate conclusion is that which we discarded turns out to be nothing but the manifestation of that same reality, but it's all mixed up at this point. So it's necessary to make that distinction, to feel, especially with regard to the seer and the seen, to be able to recognize that I'm the witness, the observer of everything, and that whatever is not this is the witness, it belongs to Maya, but this Maya is also part of this cosmic play. This is Thakur's way of looking at things. One needs sadhana. So this is critical, that so far we're trying to understand these things with the help of our intellect, which is perfectly limited, and both are not sharp enough, and also we don't have the proper information to deal with. That there's too much guesswork involved. That we're basing things on our own experience of things. What things are in reality, we don't know. We only know things as we experience them. So, what all of the great teachers will say, that these things have to be experienced, and if you want to experience them, you have to do spiritual practice. There's no other way, to get around this. We may say, well, what about grace? Yes, ultimately everything is grace, but we have to do the work ourselves. Mere study of the scriptures will not do. I noticed that though Vidyasagar, so he often refers to his meeting with this Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, the great philanthropist and scholar, and such a wonderful, generous soul. I noticed that though Vidyasagar had no doubt read a great deal, he had not realized what was inside him. He was satisfied with helping boys get their education, but had not tasted the bliss of God. What will mere study accomplish? How little one assimilates. The almanac may forecast 20 measures of rain, but you don't get a drop by squeezing its pages. Mahima. We have so many duties in the world. Where's the time for sadhana? Yes. Yeah. Now this brings up this question of priority. That we find that the things that we want to do, somehow we find time for them. And the things that we don't want to do, but think probably we should do, we find ways of postponing. There's human nature. So this is an indication. If anybody says no time for spiritual practice, and then we said, do you have time to sleep? Do you have time to eat? Do you have time to do all of these other things? Yeah, we find time. We make time. So the indication of what's important to us. Now, there are times when the workload is so heavy that it's not possible. I understand that. Even in our order, we've had monks who they've worked in different types of centers, hospital centers and other centers, where really as soon as they get up, they have to go serve patients and things. And very hard to find proper time. They have to adjust their attitude and feel that this is their spiritual practice, this is their sadhana, this is their worship. Yeah. But in general, we should all be able to find a little time for spiritual practice. It doesn't have to be long hours, to find some time. So this Mahima is not like the others. He really thinks of himself as an intellectual. We don't know how much real spiritual practice he ever did, how much real longing he has. He has a tendency to want to show off, to make people think that he's a great scholar and everything. So it's interesting that he'll come forth and say that where's the time for sadhana, Master? Why should you say such a thing? It is you who describe the world as illusory like a dream. So he's challenging him that if you really feel that this world is dreamlike, then what is this idea of duty and things you have to do? No reason to have to do anything. If it's just a dream, no ramifications in the dream. Yeah. What you do is not going to affect anything or anybody else. That means that you're being hypocritical. He's not saying it, exactly, but this is the idea. Rama and Lakshmana wanted to go to Ceylon, but the ocean was before them. Lakshmana was angry. Taking his bow and arrow, he said, I shall kill Varuna. Varuna is the deity in charge of the ocean. Yeah. So the lord of the ocean, you could say. This ocean prevents our going to Ceylon, so that means that it's Varuna's fault. Ram explained the matter to him, saying, Lakshmana, all that you are seeing is unreal like a dream. The ocean is unreal. Your anger is also unreal. It is equally unreal to think of destroying one unreal thing by means of another. This may be from the Adhyatma Ramayana, but again, we have to understand Thakur saying this to Mahima, who purportedly believes these things as a real jnani. Thakur is not expressing this as his own personal point of view. And this also doesn't mean that he doesn't appreciate this point of view. See, everything is a point of view, Mot. Every point of view for Sri Ramakrishna. So if somebody really believes that, then they'll renounce everything. They won't get involved and get entangled in the world and social things and everything. Marriage, they won't. Children, nothing. They'll devote their whole, if they really believe it. If they really believe it. That's always the test. Mahimacharam kept quiet. He had many duties in the world. He had lately started a school to help others. So duties, these are not things that were thrust upon him. He himself chose to do this. Not that it's a terrible thing. And we have to remember, Thakur said, the work that Vidyasagar does is very good. He never criticized it. It's very good. It's born of sattva, but there's a state beyond even sattva. And he knew the age of Vidyasagar. At that age, he always felt that it was partly a question of finish these things when you're young, let others do it, then go inward. Master to Mahima. Shambhu, this is Shambhu Malik. He had passed away. He was one of the suppliers of the needs for Sri Ramakrishna. Shambhu once said to me, I have some money. It is my desire to spend it for good works, for schools and dispensaries, roads, and so forth. Okay, good. These are who will fault that? Huh? It's a nice thing. I said to him, it will be good if you can do these works in a selfless spirit. Many people do these, they'll put their name on it, and they want other people to know, and they want gratitude from others. There's some hidden motive can be there. But it is extremely difficult to perform unselfish action. So Thakur says, from somewhere, nobody knows where, this pride and ego come in. Yeah. Unless one really does some spiritual practice, some sadhana. This is one of the reasons why it's so necessary that if we want to do any work to help other people, and we won't even think of it that way, serving other people, seeing God and serving God and other people, that we have to really get established in this feeling that this sense of I cannot be connected with this lower self and this personality. We have to really either feel we're doing everything as a servant of God, or I'm not the agent of God. I'm not the agent of this work. That either Mother is working through me, or I'm simply the witness of all of this. We have some spiritual attitude. Otherwise, some feeling of pride will come, some feeling of disappointment if we're not successful, some frustration if we're not appreciated for it. These things naturally come. So this is why we emphasize equally in our orders spiritual practice and service. So look at this. The Thakur is saying how Rama explained the matter to him, to Lakshmana, that everything you see is unreal like a dream. The ocean is unreal. Your anger is unreal. It is equally unreal to think of destroying one unreal thing by means of another. Now, this was one of Sri Ramakrishna's favorite teachings, this Vidyamaya, that we are destroying one unreal thing by an unreal thing. Not unreal, maybe, but something that belongs to the problem. The thorn, he'll talk about that. The thorn in the foot, that we'll use another thorn. Equally, if we say one thorn is problematic, the second one is also, but we're using it in a way that makes it helpful. So it's very interesting. The Thakur will say these things because this is the attitude that Mahima purports to have, whether it's real or not. He has some pride of being a jnani, that he'll be able to say these types of things. Mahima kept quiet. Master, so we read that already. Let's see. So we're with Shambhu now. So I said to him, it will be good if you can do these works in a selfless spirit, but it's extremely difficult to perform unselfish action. Why? Desire for fruit comes from nobody knows where. So it may not necessarily be that we want to get paid for it. Some subtle things will be there. What will the fruits be that will gain some respect? That there'll be some sense of gratitude that other people have. Maybe even we're getting some good karma, some punya, that we'll get some special place in heaven for all of these things. Don't know. Let me ask you something. Suppose God appears before you. This is what Thakur said to the Shambhu. No. Suppose God appears before you. Will you pray to him then for such things as schools and dispensaries and hospitals? Yeah, so we if anybody has ever seen anybody at the point of death, then this world, the physical body, all of these things, the interest in these things just fades away, for those who've led a spiritual life at least. Yeah, very often, even family people, they'll want to see their close relatives and loved ones, say goodbye, and then tell them to leave, and want to just uh, fix the mind on that ultimate reality at the very end. Naturally, this will come. This is the result of spiritual practice. We all hope and pray this will be our mindset at the end. But even ordinary people, we see very. I won't say this is universal. There'll be many times on the deathbed they're only worried about this and that. But uh, very often, even ordinary people at the end, that if you ask them, well, do you want us to sell the house after you're gone? This and that. I say, don't bother me with these things now. The mind is not there anymore. Do what you want. Do whatever you want with those things. So at the final moment, the mind should be turned inward. A devotee, sir, what is the way for worldly people? So this was the most common question. Yeah, upaiki. What are the means by which we can realize God, or by which we can turn the mind away from this world of Maya? And this is probably the most common answer that Thakur gives, Master. The company of holy men, holy women, the company of the holy, we can say. That Thakur, he recommended this so much because we have the living example in front of us. We have something tangible. We see the results of spiritual practice. We can go on and on and on. There's so many reasons that we see the reality of the claims that are made in the scriptures. We see the joy that comes from realization, or the joy that comes even from leading a life of simplicity and renunciation. And we see the love for others. We see all of these things in holy company. And this inspires us, and it sets the example for us. This is the mold for us. And it's very easy for the mind to feel attracted to a living example that we see before us. Otherwise, things are theory, and we don't have that tremendous faith that can a human being really develop these qualities, and can their lives be transformed the way that we're told they can be. If we see it, and then we have no doubt. We may question whether we're capable of doing it, but we have no doubt that others have done it. It can be done. And if we're intelligent people, we should take this as a sign that we also should try to do it. Find out, how did you get there? You got there. How did you get there? And then follow it, or ask them and tell me, what should I do? But it's this living example that has the greatest impact, without question, greatest impact. So much more than reading a book, or hearing about these things from others. If we have that great privilege of seeing with our own eyes these great souls, and how different they are, and the sense of contentment that they have. And it's great. This is grace, a great blessing. So this is the first thing: the company of holy men. Worldly people should listen to spiritual talk. They are in a state of madness, intoxicated with lust and greed. A drunkard should be given rice water as an antidote. Drinking it slowly, he gradually recovers his normal consciousness. So this is holy company and spiritual practice. A worldly person should also receive instructions from a Sadguru. Sadguru doesn't have to be uh, someone fully God realized soul, someone genuine, someone who genuinely has led a very pure spiritual life and has some type of attainment. We can't go about judging and waiting and going about asking, have you seen God? Like Narendra did. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But we can sense and see that there are those who are so spiritually advanced and have uh, gained so much through their spiritual practice that these are the ones that we can have faith in. So a Sadguru, a real teacher. Such a teacher has certain signs. You should hear about Benares only from a man who has been to Benares and seen it. Mere book learning will not do. One should not receive instruction from a Pandit who has not realized the world to be unreal. Now, Anitya, yeah, Thakur always is my one objection to these translations. That Thakur almost always uses this word. So one should not receive instruction from a Pandit who has not realized the world to be transitory, a passing show, nothing to hold on to, nothing to grab onto, nothing to cling to in this world. Only if a Pandit has discrimination and renunciation is he entitled to instruct. So Thakur, he used to emphasize this idea that those who want to talk about these things, if they haven't renounced everything, people won't take it so too seriously. Samadhyayi, this poor man, the Samadhyayi, always is the one that Thakur talks about for trying to preach when he doesn't know anything. He's probably a good person. He was one of the preachers of the Brahmo Samaj. But he happened to make one statement that Thakur always brings up. Samadhyayi remarked that God was dry. Nirosh. Think of his speaking like that of him who is the embodiment of sweetness. It sounds like the remark, my uncle's cowshed is full of horses, all that. So this comes up many times in the gospel. Yes, a worldly person is in a state of intoxication. He always says to himself, it is I who am doing everything. All these, the house and family, are mine. So the sense of I and mine, the sense of being the doer and the enjoyer. That I did it, I'm responsible for it, I deserve credit for it, and these things belong to me. These are all coming from this absolute identification that we have with this personality or individuality, with all of these qualities that we think that we possess, and all these false ideas of self-identity. So this is the worldly person in a state of intoxication. Yeah, Thakur used to say, you call me mad. This is people who running around in the world after this and that and everything. Yeah. He says, I'm not mad for thinking about worldly things like others. So this worldly person in a state of intoxication, he says to himself, it is I who am doing everything. So this ego, sense of I and mine, all these, the house and family are mine. So, Ami Amar, Thakur would say, Aham Mama. Baring his teeth, he says, what will happen to my wife and children without me? How much everyone loves me, how much they'll miss me, all of this is the ego, this pride. Rakal said one day, what will happen to my wife? Yeah, now we have to give him a little break. That he's got a young wife, yeah. And what will happen to her? That means if he renounces the world, who will look after her? Yeah, of course. But Thakur is just trying to make a point here. And just like he'll tease Narendra, I touched him, he said, but I have my family at home. Yeah, he'll tease him. He won't let him get away from that he made that statement one time, just to tease him. So this is, yeah, he had it, she was, I think, 14 or something at the time. And then a child was born. So naturally, anybody would think, yeah, you want me to renounce the world? Yes, fine, this is my desire. But do I have no responsibility? And Thakur would say, normally, in most cases, yes, you do. So it's not such a terrible thing. But he's saying if even Rakal can say something like that, then this sense that how will this world get along without me? Haramon, did Rakal say that? Why should they be so? Now he's also pretending that he's shocked by it. It's a natural thing, of course. Master, what else could he do? He who has knowledge has ignorance also. How amazing. Lakshmana said to Rama, even a sage like Vasishtha is stricken with grief because of the death of his sons. Brother, replied Rama, he who has knowledge has ignorance also. Therefore, go beyond both knowledge and ignorance. So this is that state that is being merged in the absolute. This type of knowledge and ignorance, it just means that there'll be times when we're attached to good things, sometimes we're attached to external things. That we're composed of a combination of, we have a little sattva, we have a little rajas and tamas also. Now we get to the thorn example, Thakur's favorite example. Suppose a thorn has pierced a man's foot. He picks another thorn to pull out the first one. After extracting the first thorn with the help of the second, he throws both away. One should use the thorn of knowledge to pull out the thorn of ignorance. Now, we can also say that the thorn of bhakti. That also, that my problem is I'm identified with this body, then take this thorn of bhakti and say, no, I'm child of the Divine Mother. That'll also help remove that first one. It means some type of spiritual attitude. So how this goes against that earlier statement, it is equally unreal to think of destroying one unreal thing by another. We're saying, according to this very strict Advaitic or jnani point of view, but from this very practical point of view, that we use something within this relative world to transcend this relative world. That we have to utilize all of these things that are available to us. And if we don't, we're stuck with the thorn. That's all. We're stuck with the thorn. If we say that I won't resort to something that is also part of the problem or belongs to the same realm as the problem, then we're stuck. If somebody says you're using it temporarily and this thorn is of a different nature, this is the good thorn, that's the bad thorn. This is the sattvic thorn, the other is the rajasic, tamasic thorn, and it's not permanent. You'll get rid of it afterwards. You're not going to save it. You're not going to keep it. But one thorn can dig into the other thorn and you can pull it out. Very sensible thing. So why not do it? If we're very stubborn people and say, only knowledge can get rid of ignorance. I can't use anything that's not the highest type of knowledge. If you say the problem is I'm identified with this body, really I'm one with the Brahman, I'll only use Aham Brahmasmi to get rid of that. And somebody else says, no, gradually start changing your sense of identification. Identify through some relationship with God. That'll slowly help you eliminate the other one. So two different ways of doing it. Second one may be slower, but it's surer. And the first one may not work at all for most people. Yeah.
Bhakta, will he be able to take it out? Or he would like to keep it?
Nobody wants to keep the thorn in the foot. This thorn in the foot stands for this obsession with worldly things, attachment to worldly things, with keeping us in a state of bondage. It doesn't mean this love of God and that attachment and all of those things. It doesn't stand for that. It talks about this is there are obstacles for the devotee also. This is the removal of those obstacles. This fascination with worldly things. This pull of this ego that comes, pride, all of these things. These are there with everybody on the path of devotion also. So those things have to be removed. The devotee may ultimately say that I don't want to be merged in Brahman. I want to experience the taste, the taste of sugar, not become sugar. That's a different thing. But everybody wants to get rid of. Nobody enjoys. You get a thorn in your foot and you have to walk someplace. We know what it feels like. You have a pebble in your shoe. What it feels. Every step is painful. So there's nobody who wants to live like that. Maybe what Thakur calls the bound soul, that they may enjoy wallowing in misery. but it's a rare thing. Generally, everybody wants to get rid of that. Then one throws away both the thorns, knowledge and ignorance, and attains Vijnana. What is Vijnana? So this is Thakur's own terminology that he uses here, this distinction between jnana and vijnana. It is to know God distinctly by realizing his existence through an intuitive experience. Yeah, this is one of the few places where he's so specific. It's such a detailed type of description. Usually he'll say, Vijnana, after getting to the roof, coming back down again. Yeah, now he's saying specifically. And he'll always add, and you talk to God. He'll add that, especially for the devotee, as part of this Vijnana state, the Vijnani. So here he says, to know God distinctly. So that means that some experience of God in a personal form. In addition to the absolute, both. Nirguna, Saguna, both. The Saguna element will be perhaps more coming back down from that. Nirguna element will be that nirvikalpa state. So to know God distinctly by realizing his existence through an intuitive experience. What's the word for intuitive experience? Did you see it there? Anyhow, it means direct, aparoksha. It means some direct experience, not through some intellectual thing, but some direct type of experience. And to speak to him intimately. Yeah, now where does this come from? The jnanis will not have this type of experience or explain it in this way. This shows that even this the experience of God realization coming back down from it, that it'll depend on the personality and spiritual. Yeah. Bodhivodhoy. So he'll experience within the depth of his own consciousness or something like that. Yeah. Bodhivodhoy. Yeah. So intuitively. So, yeah, he'll say for the jnani, the Vijnani, following the path of knowledge, everything may be like dream-like, hazy, everything a little distant. I always want to close my eyes, experience that reality and merge the mind. That's possible. The devotee, this is more those who have the eye of devotion, this bhakti ami that he talks about. And what is it speaking to God, all of this stuff? Huh? If and again, this is my real answer is that I have no conception about these things, how these things can be possible. But if I want to try to imagine somehow, I have this vision of this cosmic mind, this diving deep into the ocean, and there'll be areas where there's a personal God and visions, things of that will be there. There'll be areas where we go even deeper and there's nothing. There's this empty black void, the samadhi, and there'll be elements that are subjective. That this mind, and this mind will merge into this cosmic mind, and there'll be more or less objective, objective. It'll be some hazy in between type of thing. Well, we won't get to it today, but Thakur will start talking about this idea that water will form blocks of ice in some places. That'll be subjective. The shape of that ice will be according to the desire of the heart. And they'll say there's some places where it's so cold that it never melts, and it'll turn even to crystal. And there'll be places we saw earlier that this Chinmoy Dham, Chinmoy Sham, that for the devotee, that these will not be subjective things, these will be fully objective for the devotee. What it is, we don't know. So I'll read this one more time. What is Vijnana? It is to know God distinctly by realizing his existence through an intuitive experience and to speak to him intimately. That is why Sri Krishna said to Arjuna, go beyond the three gunas. In order to attain Vijnana, one has to accept the help of Vidyamaya. Vidyamaya includes discrimination. So this is, we know, I've been talking about it so much lately, and last Sunday, and also this Panchadashi, this Samvadi Brahma, Vidyamaya, that we're taking help of the thorn. It belongs to Maya. It belongs to the relative world. We have no other tools to use. We use this intellect, this mind, this power of discrimination that belongs to the relative universe. Yeah. All of that is part of Vidyamaya, but it helps us. The sattva, all these good qualities, everything, they belong to this relative universe, but we need them. So in order to attain Vijnana, one has to accept the help of Vidyamaya. Vidyamaya includes discrimination. So this is Viveka, that is to say, God is real and the world illusory or transitory. And dispassion. So this Viveka and Vairagya. And also chanting. So we have for the jnanis and now for the bhaktas, chanting God's name and glories. Even that belongs to this world, relative world, Vidyamaya. Meditation, the company of holy persons. There, even this repetition, I am Brahman, Soham, Soham. This belongs to the relative world. This is also Vidyamaya. So also chanting God's names and glories, meditation, the company of holy persons, prayer, and so forth. Vidyamaya may be likened to the last few steps before the roof. Still, but not the roof. Still belongs to the steps. But we can't get to the roof without it. Next is the roof, the realization of God. Worldly people are in a state of chronic intoxication, mad with lust and gold. They're insensible to spiritual ideas. That is why I love the youngsters not yet stained by lust and greed. They are good receptacles and may become useful in God's work. See, Thakur, not that he didn't care about this working for the welfare of the world in spiritual way or other ways. But as for worldly people, you lose almost everything while trying to eliminate the worthless stuff in them. They are like bony fish, almost all bones and very little meat. Worldly people are like mangoes struck by hail. If you want to offer them to God, that is the mangoes, you have to purify them by sprinkling them with Ganges water. Even then, they are seldom used in the temple worship. If you are to use them at all, you have to apply Brahmajnana. That is to say, you have to persuade yourself that it is God alone who has become everything. A theosophist gentleman arrived with Ashwini Kumar Datta. We were introduced to him before. We'll talk about him next time. We're at the very end of the class. And the son of Bihari Bahaduri. The Mukherjee brothers entered the room and saluted Sri Ramakrishna. Arrangements were being made for devotional music in the courtyard. At the first beat of the drum, the master left the room and went there. The devotees followed him. Bhavanath introduced Ashwini to the master. The master introduced him to M. Ashwini and M were talking together when Narendra arrived. Sri Ramakrishna said to Ashwini, "This is Narendra. This is all very highly auspicious stuff," because M will ask Ashwini Kumar Datta to write something about Thakur. Thakur will ask Ashwini to meet to talk to Narendra. They won't do it that day. And then later, he says by Thakur's will that they met in Almora, had a long conversation. He became very well known as a freedom fighter and wrote a very famous book on Bhakti Yoga. Yeah. And it was from Borishal in East Bengal. Yeah, I saw his house. There's just a plaque there and everything there. Okay, so we're stopping on page 781, and the date of the next session is Saturday, June 13th, 1885. Om Niranjanam Nityamanantarupam Bhaktanurkam Bhathurada Vigraham Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidhyam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namama. We bow our heads before Sri Ramakrishna, who is stainless, of infinite nature, whose heart melts in sympathy for his devotees, who is an embodiment of the divine and the Supreme Lord, and ever worthy of our worship. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto you. Next Friday night, Swami Sarvadevanandaji will be here, and either he'll take the regular gospel class, probably he will, or we'll have satsang. So that'll be next Friday. Okay. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you next time.